look at you, you're in your bathrobe.
Several years ago, you played in 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone.
Yes.
Nick of Time and Nightmare at 20,000 Feet.
Yes.
What was it like working with Rod Serling? And just out of curiosity, when flying in, did you by chance see a creature on the wing of the plane?
Well, I'll tell you, I wish I could tell you that it was memorable and everybody knew that it would last, well, it was done in the 60s, the last 50 years. And the ones I did are popular, and so whenever there's a Twilight Zone
marathon
air thing, you know, it's one of the more popular ones. And had I known, had you told me that it was going to last that long, I'd have paid more attention. But it was just a simple half-hour show that I had worked with all those guys in live television. I came in on the latter part of live television. So John Frankenheimer and all the writers, George Clayton Johnson, does that name mean anything to you guys in terms of science fiction? He's still alive and writing. He was communicating with me a couple of weeks ago. All those guys worked at Twilight Zone and worked at live television. And then they founded, or they got together to do Twilight Zone. So all the same people who had been doing Playhouse 90 and all those great live television shows started doing film. And so they asked the actors who they had hired a year or two earlier to do that show. They had asked me. Richard Matheson, does that name mean anything? Yeah. So Richard Matheson, George Clayton Johnson was a member of this Green Thumb group of writers, of which Richard Matheson was one. As you know, Richard Matheson has recently died. He wrote Nightmare. So I got to know him. And it was in that, and even then, they were young writers who hadn't done anything really particularly notable, although they were great writers, I'm sure, had not been recognized. So I, as a result, did not recognize them as being the great talent. I just saw some wonderful scripts and wonderful ideas, the 2 shows that they had asked me to do. So I didn't realize how much of a universal note these shows would hit. For some reason, having a Czechoslovakian acrobat in a suit that looks not unlike what you've got on. I'm sure you're doing the Nightmare 27,000 feet, aren't you?
I'm out.
Is that the wardrobe? He's out? He's on the wing. What are you? It's the same character. You should be on an airplane wing somewhere. So, I mean, it was this guy who was a Czechoslovakian acrobat who was dressed in a suit similar to that, and he stood on the wing of an airplane, and it was the thing was totally unbelievable, except there was a universal note of, I guess, if we are flying, we should have wings, so we don't belong on airplanes, and it taps a fear that we all must have. When you look out the window and wonder, how the hell is this heavy plane staying in the air, and every so often it doesn't. Just often enough to make you think, I wonder if this one's going to crash. And so this funny guy on a suit looking ridiculous was not ridiculous because we suspended our disbelief like every human being has done down through the ages when storytellers with words would conjure up images which then became masks and dances and costumes around a religious thing, which then became original drama on a stage somewhere, which then became Shakespeare saying things, aren't we in this marvelous castle, and we're at sea, and people say, yeah, okay, I get it, we're at sea. And they're imagining things. Imagining things that aren't there. That's the name of a song that I've written for a new album that will be out.